We live in a world obsessed, really, with the hierarchy of success. You know, how strong are you? How impressive is your resume? What's your education, your status, your net worth? We are trained, pretty much from birth, to equate power and influence with being high up, wise, highly visible.
Yeah.
But what if that entire metric is fundamentally flawed?
Well, that is the ultimate paradox we're exploring today, isn't it? We're taking a deep dive into some powerful devotional insights, specifically this theme, lowly yet great power.
Right.
It's drawn from Pastor Huzikon's work and also Warren Wiersbe's analysis of 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 18 through 31.
Okay, and this material, it seems to radically redefine leadership, success metrics, influence. And not just in a spiritual context, but maybe right there in your office or even the political sphere.
Exactly.
So our mission today really is to extract that core contrast between what the world deems necessary for, let's say, victory, and why recognizing your own perceived inadequacy is actually, well, the necessary prerequisite for true, lasting transformation.
And the centerpiece of this whole argument, as the text lays out, is this incredible, almost cosmic role reversal. God chooses the foolish of the world to shame the wise, and the weak of the world to shame the strong.
Wow.
It's a method that is not just surprising, but seems deeply intentional.
Okay, let's unpack that then. This deliberate selection process. I mean, if you're actively avoiding the quote-unquote successful, what characteristics define the people God is selecting? And why does this choice completely defy our, human logic?
Well, the source material is extremely specific on this. God chooses the foolish, the weak, those who are considered lowly. And that term used, by day, it seems to encompass not just low status, but also humility, perceived insignificance.
Okay.
And critically, it also includes those who are actively despised by society, looked down upon.
Now, this isn't just like charity for the underdog, is it? The source suggests there's a very functional reason for this choice. How does choosing the weak actually generate power?
See, it's the mechanism of power. Think about it. When a proud, worldly person achieves something great, they naturally credit their own intelligence, right? Or their background, their resources.
Sure, makes sense.
But when God works through someone perceived as foolish or weak, the proud observer is kind of forced to see their own deficiency. They realize, wait a minute, that person didn't have the tools I have, yet they succeeded.
I see.
That success then can only be attributed to an external, unlimited power source, not the person themselves.
So it sounds like the selection of the lowly is less about the person chosen, and maybe more about eliminating the possibility of human pride.
Precisely. Yes, it forces that vital realization, humility, that acknowledgement of your own bayway, your insignificance and inadequacy. It stops you from relying on those brittle internal resources like ego or ambition.
Right.
That moment of surrender, that moment of accepting lowliness, that's what opens the channel to true, enduring power. God's so-called foolishness, the source notes, surprises the wise, because the wise never thought to look beyond their own intellect for solutions in the first place.
That sets up a really sharp contrast with what we spend so much of our professional lives pursuing. What are the worldly metrics of success that the source says are ultimately, irrelevant to this divine transformation?
We definitely rely on the tangible, don't we? The sources list things like a strong family background, high social status, significant economic success, political or corporate power, and crucially, public commendation or praise.
Yeah, the applause.
Exactly. These are the pillars of the perfect resume, right? The things we believe guarantee stability and success.
And yet the point is, none of these guarantee the kind of deep internal change required for, say, eternal life, or even just lasting character transformation.
Absolutely. That is the critical fact here. These things offer zero guarantee of the deeper, lasting change that defines true spiritual or moral life. In fact, relying on them often blocks transformation precisely because they fuel pride.
This really highlights the limitation of human wisdom itself, doesn't it? I mean, our best psychological insights, our scientific knowledge, they all seem to hit a wall when faced with radical human change.
That's right. The world's wisdom is simply unable to understand or explain how God turns a, say, long-term sinner into a saint. It just doesn't compute within its framework.
Right.
Likewise, the world's strong people, they can't replicate this transformation. They can manage behavior maybe through medication or discipline or therapy,
Sure.
but the source describes a complete change of nature, a miracle that defies professional, clinical, or academic explanation.
So the bottom line then is that salvation in this ultimate transformation, it must be entirely by grace, because if there were any dependency on a high IQ or a great inheritance or status,
Then humans would have grounds to boast, wouldn't they? And God wouldn't receive the glory. The whole system, you could say, is designed to exclude human merit.
yeah,
If there was room for any flesh, the source uses that term, yuki yukswekite, any human ability to stand up and claim credit, the whole purpose is defeated. The choice of the lowly ensures that the glory belongs solely to the transforming power of the gospel.
Okay, this moves us from the sort of theological necessity to the practical proof. The source backs this up with some incredible, tangible anecdotes from ministry. This is where the concept really comes alive, I think, the evidence of transformation that truly seems to defy human explanation.
Yes, exactly. Pastor Hu Jikong, he details his 35 years of service, having witnessed countless events that professionals, lawyers, psychologists, marriage counselors, they simply couldn't make sense of. He recounts experiencing these massive, shocking shifts in personality and life outcome among his congregation.
Let's focus on the marriage example for a second, because that's often seen as the most difficult institution to repair once it's truly fractured. What kind of intensity were these couples dealing with?
Oh, these were situations where the marriages were near total collapse, often involving bitterness, maybe infidelity, long-standing deep conflict, sometimes already moved into legal arbitration.
Wow.
The pastor describes couples whose cases were basically deemed impossible by court judges and legal mediators, hopeless.
And I find the judge's astonishment, as you mentioned, to be almost the ultimate proof here. I mean, they see human nature at its worst every single day.
Exactly. Imagine a case where the marriage mediator says, look, this situation is irreparable, separation is the only answer. Yet, maybe 6 months later, these same couples, by allowing what the source calls Christ's spirit to control their lives, they transition from being constantly at war to actively serving together as faithful church co-workers.
Together.
Not just civil, unified and productive. The change was apparently so profound, it often astonished the judge, who might have seen 20 or 30 years of family court dysfunction and just believed human nature couldn't pivot so radically.
And the source is clear. This wasn't like high-status people fixing their lives with expensive therapy or executive coaching or something.
Not at all, no. The source really points out that this radical change was not dependent on high academic degrees, gaoshuli, or great business achievements.
Okay.
The members were often just ordinary office workers, Han Pinfan de Shangbanzu, very average working folks. Some might have even struggled educationally or professionally.
Right.
The whole theme, lowly yet great power, meant they changed and became better, meaning, morally and ethically grounded, once God's spirit reigned in their lives, regardless of their standing in the world.
Okay, so if this principle of power through acknowledged weakness holds true in these deeply personal spheres like marriage and ministry, it must also hold true in the, let's say, high-stakes world of public life. How does the source critique outward strength in politics and maybe the modern workplace?
Well, when we connect this to the bigger picture of leadership, particularly in democratic systems, the source references things like local elections, maybe like in Taiwan, we see a profound critique.
Okay.
Candidates and public figures are often highly polished, right? They rely heavily on image setting. The source calls it renshe, perfect education, a successful career track record. They project outward strength and competence. That's the game.
But the source warns that these external trappings are, well, meaningless if the heart is driven by internal corruption.
That's the real danger. When the heart is secretly filled with pride or greed, the desire for control or power purely for self-service, these individuals often start to violate that warning in the scripture, which the source quotes. They see themselves as higher than they ought to see. The precise phrase used, kanzi jingwa yuzi jingstangkan, it means they seriously overestimate their own importance and competence.
Right, and the consequence of that internal overestimation, what happens then?
Well, inevitable crumbling, it seems. Their reliance on that external strength fails them eventually. This is when we see that outwardly perfect politician's performance suddenly deteriorate.
Yeah.
It leads to public questioning, scandal, maybe even legal issues. The external strength was just a facade, really, covering internal rot. The point is, you must acknowledge your inadequacy before you can truly lead with integrity.
But hang on, this raises a practical challenge, doesn't it? I mean, in a competitive job market or even starting a business, isn't high academic achievement, that outward strength, that a necessary prerequisite just to get in the door? If we embrace lowliness, aren't we just setting ourselves up for failure in the real world? How does the source reconcile that?
Yeah, that is a critical question, and the source doesn't seem to advocate for professional laziness or incompetence at all. It's not about being bad at your job. Instead, it shifts the focus from reliance on status to your conduct within whatever status you have. It basically says you can influence your surroundings, even if you are just an ordinary office worker, or if your colleagues don't share your specific faith. The power is actually in your integrity, not your rank on the org chart.
So what does that look like day to day then? What are the actionable behaviors of this lowly influential employee?
The source lists specific conduct. Be honest, Chengxi. Act upright in your dealings. It also uses this interesting phrase, zhengzi fuze. Now, while that literally translates to politically responsible in this context, it seems to refer more to professional integrity, maintaining upright ethical conduct and accountability, especially when you're in any position of authority, however small it might seem.
Got it. I appreciate that clarification. So it means being accountable not just for your output, your results, but for the ethical path you took to achieve those results.
Exactly right. Even if you are just, quote, a lowly office worker, your quiet, consistent integrity provides a kind of counterpoint to maybe the more worldly behavior around you. When colleagues try to cut corners, the source uses the term toji kitingtho, trying to be cleverly opportunistic or improper.
Right, taking shortcuts.
Yeah. Your unwavering, honest, and accountable conduct actually promotes a lawful, unified, and ultimately more effective team environment, even if it's subtle.
That makes the power sort of low-key, but potentially intensely potent. It's not about giving a big speech. It's about that consistent ethical behavior that actually creates a better workplace culture than maybe the charismatic, high-status individual who's bending the rules.
And that influence, that strength through humility, that's the fulfilling of whatever you've been entrusted with, however small that trust may seem. You start to realize that true power is often moral authority, not just positional authority.
Wow, okay. This has been a truly comprehensive deep dive into a profound paradox. We started by challenging the world's definition of strength and success. And we've learned that maybe the most valuable lessons come from those the world considers foolish or lowly, precisely because it forces the recognition of our own inadequacy, that baiwaiji buzu, the lowliness and insufficiency.
Yes, and the essential takeaway, I think, is that this selection of the foolish and the weak serves a glorious but also very practical purpose, ensuring that no human can ever boast before God or even before others about their own ultimate transformation.
Right.
All true, lasting power and transformation results solely from grace, channeled through humility. It has to be that way.
So we leave you, the listener, with the question the source posed for reflection, something to maybe mull over today as you navigate your own professional and personal life. Can you be satisfied? Can you be content with being considered foolish, weak, or maybe insignificant in the eyes of the world? Knowing that true power and glory only result when success and transformation are entirely dependent on something external to your resume, external to your own efforts. That's the challenge, I suppose, of true humility and the real key to this lowly yet great power.